Hey everyone, this is Aaron Hilliard for Mushroom Wonderland. Thanks for joining me on this episode where I go out into the woods and discover what kind of wild mushrooms are growing out here. I'm the vice president of the local Mycological Society. I just really like the mushrooms in the forest, and so I want to take you with me as we identify what kind of mushrooms are growing trailside here in autumn of 2023. Come with me on this episode of Mushroom Wonderland. Make sure to hit subscribe. Let's go into the forest.
Welcome to Mushroom Wonderland.
Hey everybody, how you doing? My name is Aaron Hilliard. I've been studying mushrooms for over 30 years, and I just love all the wild mushrooms that grow in the forest here in the Pacific Northwest. Although this video can be very useful to anybody in the world because a lot of these mushrooms grow everywhere else. They might just associate with different trees and stuff. But I'm here in the Pacific Northwest, the Puget Sound Basin, right in the center on Kitsap Peninsula, and I go out into the forest and I help to identify what kind of wild mushrooms we might find growing out here in autumn. Check out these beauties growing underneath some western red cedar here. So these are saprotrophic, related to your grocery store portobello. These ones are in the genus Agaricus, but these ones, Agaricus deardorffensis, one of the toxic ones, the lose your lunch bunch. Got this dark scaling in the center of the cap. Look at that large, beautiful partial veil. Stays attached until the gills are ready. And when it opens up, it's got pink gills, chocolate brown spores, and these are just very robust and big, about 6 or 7 inches, some of the caps, and really beautiful. So an Agaricus you don't want to eat, but pretty to look at, great to photograph, and they're just handsome. They grow in big troops. There's some big clusters of them right over here. So happy to see these here. Agaricus deardorffensis. All right, so I'm walking down this beautiful trail into the woods, and I look over on this log and I see a lot of attractive looking kind of yellowish tan colored mushrooms growing off of this log. So I'm gonna kind of make my way back in here. Let's check out what these are, because there's a nice fruiting of them, quite a bit of them growing here on this log. So this is a coniferous log, I can tell that much. This is from, a western hemlock here. Just a big chunk of it has fallen down. And so these are growing on conifer, and they kind of look like sulfur tufts, but I have a feeling when I pick this thing, it doesn't have that fluorescent green color like the sulfur tuft would. This one's got kind of just more of a creamy colored gill. And when the spores really start to mature, it gives it this kind of smoky look. So this one is closely related to the sulfur tuft, but it's not. This is the conifer tuft, and these guys are edible and really actually delicious. So Hypholoma Capnoides, or the smoky gill, or the conifer tuft, they call these. Always growing on conifer wood, and their relative, the sulfur tuft, Hypholoma fasciculare, very bright green gills under here, and these ones are just smoky, kind of creamy colored, definitely not that green color. So not a novice picker mushroom to go out and forage, because these ones are a little bit more advanced. The sulfur tuft can get you pretty sick. One of the more poisonous mushrooms that we have here, not really deadly, but I guess there has been a case of death at one point somewhere in Europe a long time ago. But anyways, these ones are a good edible. A lot of people really love them. I was talking to a really good mycologist and author, Peter McCoy, recently. He said these are his favorite edible wild mushrooms. So Hypholoma Capnoides, or the smoky gill. This is a beautiful, beautiful saprotrophic conifer-loving mushroom. Heading into this darker forest. It's a perfectly gloomy day out here in the Pacific Northwest. Contrary to popular belief, it's really hot and dry here in the summer. We just don't really have any rain at all, but the rains have come for the autumn, and this is perfect. Look at this. It looks like a Grimm's brother fairy tale, the way this trail just kind of meanders off into this big dark conifer forest. I love it, man. This is what I live for. This is Mushroom Wonderland. Wow, look at this cool log. We got a couple different types of mushrooms, a few different types growing right here on this old coniferous log. So if I flip one of these over, oh, this one's got the really greenish kind of gills, and this is the one I was talking about. So here's its counterpart. Hypholoma Capnoides right here, Hypholoma fasciculare right there. Can you see the difference? You can see the difference between the two. But probably not for the novice forager. These ones are good to eat. These ones will make you sick. So, yeah, I don't know if you want to play that game, but there are some pretty significant differences. Once you see them and hold them in your hand, you'll go, oh yeah, that's really obvious. But Capnoides comes with us, the Hypholoma fasciculare, I'll probably leave there. And right here are some beautiful honey mushrooms. So these are Armillaria species. Armillaria mela being East Coast species of honey mushroom. They're named honey mushrooms because the color of them is like honey. And there's a lot of different species of honey mushrooms, and all of them are different colors, but all of them are the colors of different honeys. So anywhere from a really light colored honey to a really dark colored honey. Honey mushrooms look like honey. Are they good to eat? They're okay for most, but there's caution that should be taken. Eat a little bit at first. They're known to cause gastrointestinal distress. See how scaly the stem is right there? And then it's got that big, you know, we'd call this an annulus. And then decurrent gills. So the gills run down onto the stipe. They grow in clusters on dead wood or on dying wood. They can even be parasitic. But a few nice honeys here. We're going to flip one over for you. And these might be different than the ones that I had recently found on a different video. So it might be cool to get them sequenced, but I'm going to take some photos of these and collect one and dry it and make an iNaturalist observation on this particular species of conifer-loving Armillaria here in Western Washington. There's a big troop of mushrooms growing out here. These guys, light colored, kind of a pinkish color. Oh, look at that. That's kind of interesting. Largely decurrent. Look at that. These gills, the way that they run down. And this can only mean one thing. This is a pretty unique look. This is Gomphidius. These guys are known to parasitize other fungi. So the Suillus mushrooms that are kind of a bolete, these guys will actually grow right on the Suillus mycelium and parasitize it. The hideous Gomphidius, or the Insidious Gomphidius, kind of an ugly mushroom if you ask me. They're edible, but I'm good, you know. I don't know. There's other good edible mushrooms out here. These just smell funny to me, and they're just kind of gross to me, but to each their own, you know. So there you go, the parasitic Gomphidius. Nice little troop of them. Dang, you guys, it's really raining out here now, but I absolutely love it. If you have the right gear, the rain is no big deal. You know, I have really nice rain gear that I've invested in because I've spent many a days walking soggily through the woods, and that can be kind of miserable. So I went out and I got myself a really nice $100 pair of muck boots, some nice rain gear pants, this waterproof coat, and it's lightweight and breathable. And so let it rain, you know, it's totally comfortable, and I can get waist deep into the bushes. And so if you like to forage and you live in the Northwest, this is the kind of weather we have to deal with a lot of the time out here in the autumn. If you want to get at the good mushrooms, you can't be afraid of the rain. So make sure that you're well equipped. Makes a big difference. It looks like a false chanterelle. This is a Hygrophoropsis. Looks like somebody cut it off and they flung it out of their basket. They were suspicious. This is a really good example of a false chanterelle though. Wow, very false. Here's another one. You could think these were chanterelles, right? But look at this guy. Let me pull it out. Definitely different, right? Hygrophoropsis Arantiaca. This one, Arantia, meaning orange. But man, these could really be confused for a chanterelle by a newbie. Somebody even went so far as to cutting this off, because from the top it really does kind of look like one. Really darker in the disc there, but you know, this one really bright orange when they're younger. It's very indicative. And then the gills, these are like true gills, like real little slits of paper, where a chanterelle just has kind of veins on it, not true gills. So good news is these aren't toxic, so if you accidentally picked a bunch, you might eat them and you'd be okay, provided you cooked them well enough. And not because of toxins, just because you need to cook mushrooms so they don't upset your stomach with all their chitin. But these wouldn't hurt you, they just aren't going to taste nearly as good as chanterelles are to a lot of people. So I had to stop here to check these out for sure. This is a really nice fresh batch of turkey tails. Concentric color rings that kind of start darker in the center, work their way out on these particular ones. And the way you tell it's really a turkey tail, besides these other features, it's growing on wood and it's got those concentric rings, but it has little tiny pores underneath, little tiny holes on the under surface, and it's going to be creamy white colored. This is how you identify a true Trametes. That's the genus name of this. Trametes versicolor, because of all the different colors. These ones are a little more tan colored. They can come in a lot of different shades of color. And they're beautiful. And they're growing right here on this deciduous stick, probably from an alder tree around here, a red alder. So here's a nice, big, nice feather, if you want to call it that, of the turkey tail. And quite a few of them. I'm going to leave these here, but people have been using these for medicinal purposes for a long, long time. Beautiful, beautiful Trametes versicolor, the turkey tail mushroom. Hey, so make sure to go over to mushroom-wonderland.com to get merch like this cool sweatshirt. This is the original logo design, but there's some other designs like the cozy cabin, sunshine amanita design. There is the tent in the forest Mushroom Wonderland design. You can get mugs, you can get shirts and hats and all the stuff that you want to let people know that you have a lot of mush love in you. You can help support the channel. If you like what me and Gunnar are doing out here in the forest, please help support Mushroom Wonderland by buying a t-shirt or a sticker or a coffee mug. Mushroom-wonderland.com and get yourself some merch. Back to the video, let's go. All right, so I've been out here for about 40 minutes and no chanterelles. Quite a few different species of mushrooms, a lot of saprotrophic mushrooms, meaning they're growing on dead matter. And the reason being is, see these trees? This big guy right there? This is a western red cedar. So these do not have a mycorrhizal partnership with any of the ectomycorrhizal fungi here that we like to eat, like chanterelles, lobster mushroom, matsutake, porcini. So many of these mushrooms live with conifer trees, but not the western red cedar. So I was just walking deeper and deeper into a western red cedar stand where I'm not going to find any of those desirable edible mushrooms. So there is a valuable thing that I learned here. Although I didn't find any of those valuable edible mushrooms, I did discover that this area is a western red cedar stand, and that this is an area I don't want to come to look for chanterelles. So the process of elimination is huge. And so even when you're not finding things, you're learning things. You're either winning or you're learning. You know what I mean? So I learned that this is all western red cedar back that way. I'm going to track back and try to find a more heavily Douglas fir dominant stand where there'll be more ectomycorrhizal mushrooms. Dang, look what I came upon right here. One of my favorite mushrooms to find. This beautiful kind of greenish blue color, very, very alien in this landscape. These ones are Clitocybe odora, and I can smell them from here. They smell so good. They smell like licorice. I don't even really like licorice, but let's have a look at that in situ, in the situation where it lived, before I pull it out. And I'm gonna pull one out and get some good photos of these. These are beautiful ones. But look at that color. Isn't that amazing? And I tell you what, woo, you know why they call it odora when you smell one of these. It has the odor of aniseed or licorice very, very strongly. So I imagine that's to attract animals, to carry it around. Nonetheless, really, really beautiful. Always exciting to find green or blue or greenish blue mushrooms in the woods. So yeah, these are very cool. Definitely gonna take this to sequence, see if it's the same Clitocybe odora that, you know, that's in the books. So here's an example of what I was talking about a little bit earlier. Here's the Gomphidius, right? But growing right here next to it is Suillus lakei, so this furry covered cap of this genus. Suillus, pretty common type of bolete mushroom, but this is growing, its mycelium is underground, and this fungus is attached onto that mycelium, and it's growing its own fruiting bodies. So kind of an interesting, not even a symbiosis, because one is not benefiting the other. It's just a parasitic relationship going on here between the Gomphidius, the hideous Gomphidius, and the Suillus lakei. So let's have a look at the lakei. Like I said, it's got kind of a tomentose cap, sort of a fuzzy cap. And you can see it's got this spongy pore surface underneath. Big pores. That's indicative of the genus Suillus. This nice annulus on it, but it's wet right now, but when it's dry, it's actually kind of furry. And beautiful little bolete type mushrooms. These are edible. You could eat them, although they're not really sought after. But here's a nice little grouping of them. And here's their parasite. So there you go. So finally, a little something that I've been looking for to show you guys. Not a whole bunch, definitely not enough to fill up the basket, but this orange mushroom, I can tell by the kind of ruffly top on it, really kind of stands out. I'll gently pluck it. Look at that. Beautiful golden chanterelle, Cantharellus formosus. This mushroom really sought after, edible. This is a beautiful example of one. I personally don't eat these. They upset my stomach, unfortunately. I've eaten them for years and years, but just a few years ago they started to upset my tummy. But I always try again. But my wife loves them and my family love them, so and they're very nice to look at. So there's a beautiful Cantharellus formosus, your Pacific Golden Chanterelle. See that? Not true gills, just like the Hygrophoropsis had really true gills. This one just ridges, and the spores get produced on those ridges. So we've got a beautiful basket of different colors going on here. So that was a pretty productive walk in the woods. Got quite an array of different mushrooms that I'm gonna use for science. So I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna put these on the dehydrator. I'm gonna write up all of the iNaturalist slips that correspond with the location of where these were found. I'm gonna dry out samples, and then I'm gonna send them off in the mail. You can always join into other projects that are coming up through iNaturalist, so you can contribute to science. And it's a lot of fun to go pick mushrooms, even if they're not for the dinner table. It just takes the hobby to the next level. Gives you a good excuse to be out in nature and discovering and learning. So thanks for joining on this episode of Mushroom Wonderland, and we'll see you next time. Much love, everyone. you.